You this afternoon.
Hey, Coach Sam, I'm great.
That's good. It's good to see you back in the office, and I'm glad to see that you got a smile on your face today. Maybe some things are going your way today. Maybe I don't know. What's going on with you today?
Well, had a chance to go to the pharmacy to get a test, pregnancy test, and I'm pregnant.
Oh well, that's great. That's great. I'm really happy that is
Me too.
something that we don't have to worry about. How did that make you feel?
Oh my gosh, it was so much relief. Actually, it helped me not feel as guilty. Now, not to say that I'm gonna keep doing anything, but I just don't feel as guilty. Um, and one thing I didn't disclose to you is the reason that I was super worried. My parents were teen parents, and I just didn't want to go have that hard life like they've had. So this is a lot of relief for me.
You just dropped a couple of big bombs there. I mean, some positive things there for sure. Being comfortable with the fact that we're excited, maybe more relieved that you're not pregnant. So how did it make you feel that when your parents told you that they were teen parents?
Well, I just know I never had all the things other my friends had or other kids in the school had. Never knew why. And then when we had that, remember I told you we did have the talk. That's when they told me, that they were fairly young. My mom was like, I think it was her senior year, but my dad had graduated or something like that. Um, but I just know they like struggled to get where they are now. Um, like my dad just finished his degree like last year, so they had to like put off a lot of stuff because of me. So I didn't want that for me. Or I don't want that for me. I want to finish high school, go to college, then marriage and family and all that.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I know that you had demonstrated or articulated earlier that getting education was important, and hearing now that your dad didn't get his degree till a little later in life, and that might have impacted you in this situation. Can you tell me a little bit more about how maybe that your dad maybe that would impact you to some degree? Do you feel that, I know that it's an important part of your life, or your will be at some point in for your life as you move forward, but do you think that maybe there was some relief there that your dad had a potential similar issue, and you were maybe even scared, maybe not relief, that you could have been in that same situation yourself?
Yeah. So I'm like you just said, it's been like a lot of relief not having to knowing I'm not having to deal with a child now. And then like it took him forever to get his degree, and I just want the traditional 4 year or 5 year or whatever to get my degree. I don't want to have to figure out how am I going to support a family, so I got to keep putting off my dreams, just so that my family's okay. I just want to be able to keep everything in order.
I can say again that that's a pretty mature decision, because I know for myself, it took me some time to get my degree. I didn't get right out of high school into college, and it took some time, and I know that is a tough thing, a tough hurdle to try to overcome. So I'm glad that you recognize that that's something you want to do right away, and you set some goals for yourself here. For sure, we've talked about it before in the past sessions, and having some goals is really important, and you seem to have that part of your life together, and you seem to have made some conscious decisions to have these things in your life and to be able to do these type of things at your school, and getting married, and being faithful, and all those things that we've talked over our sessions.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you've come to those. That you are not pregnant. That's a huge relief, I have to say. And B, that you were able to talk to your parents and then maybe understand a little bit more too, the real life implications. Someone having a practical, being able to connect with someone that you know close to you. Obviously, everything seems to be a little more real when you have someone that you know who has gone through something significant.
Yeah.
Car crash, or maybe something of that nature. In your case, your parents having a baby early. And you in this situation, it was really real.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you were able to have that conversation. I do say, unfortunately, and we've talked about so much over these last couple of days that, again, I want to remind you that you've shared some pretty important things here, and this is very confidential stuff, and I want to make sure that you know that, that this will stay here. And the sad part of this is that, unfortunately, like we talked about in our first session, we're only going to have a couple sessions to talk about some of these issues, and unfortunately, that time's coming to an end here. So if we do, as we go through here, there's some other topics that you're interested or pop up, or maybe some more topics with your parents or something that we can address those before we go today. So just
So I don't get to come back and see you?
Oh, you can come back anytime that you like. My door's always open to you. But it seems like we're making some headway with the current issue, and I think that it's important that you've accomplished some of these goals that we've set. I do think that there's one big issue that I think we've talked about that I think we should maybe touch on a little bit, because I'd love to hear how you feel, how it's going with Bobby. I know that that was an important aspect. You were very concerned, if I'm understanding this correctly, you were very concerned that he would run around school and talk bad about you. Tell me a little bit about that. How do you feel about that now?
So, oh yeah, he won't me to the pharmacy, so he knows too.
That's good.
So after we went to the pharmacy, we kind of, I know this sounds crazy, but we kind of celebrated, and we went to Steak and Shake, so I could talk to him about this part. And he was very open and willing to hear me out. So we've decided he's supposed to get me a promise ring, which also includes him not talking. So that makes me feel good too. In fact, I kind of cried in front of him. It was kind of embarrassing, but at first, he's like, you should have just trusted me from the beginning that I wouldn't do something like that to you. And I'm like, it's your boy. So, yeah. But I feel okay about it now. So I hope the promise ring is for real.
I think trust is a big thing, right? I think we all want to trust and believe the best in people. I think that you struggled a little early on with being able to trust him to do the right thing, and maybe giving him a chance was a big part of your trust, and you're building your own trust in yourself to be able to make some right decisions. I think second guessing some of the things that you've gone through here over the last couple of days, would be a natural thing. So I find that it's very exciting and rewarding, maybe for me as your counselor, that maybe we're taking some good out of this situation. In terms of being able to trust Bobby to do the right thing, and that you're able to kind of have that trust in him. And he surprised you a little bit with, obviously with not only the ring, promising your promise ring, but in telling you that he is trustworthy. Do you feel that he's going to be trustworthy, or do you feel that maybe he's just talking to talk? And tell me a little bit about that. What do you think? Do you think that he's going to be a man of his word?
I hope so. I hope he wouldn't take it to this extreme about having a promise ring and not do what he says. I have a little doubt because, like I said, he is a boy, and that locker room talk that you hear, because I've heard things about other girls or whatever by mistake, and I just don't want to be one of the girls that get talked about. So, but I think for now I'm at ease about it.
So tell me a little bit about how it would look if you did find out that he did talk to other people.
I would be angry. I would be really angry. I don't know. I just don't want any type of reputation like that. Not a bad reputation. Of course, I would probably break up with him. And I just feel like that would put me on defense about people always talking about me. So I don't know how I would react to having to face people talking about me that way. I don't know.
You don't know that that it would make you feel bad, or you're just concerned about your reputation, or do you feel that you love Bobby to the point where you would lose him and you're afraid of that? Do you tell me a little bit about, like, you don't know? I don't know if I like to hear the word I don't know, because we want to accomplish some stuff here, right? So,
Right.
I'd rather you be equipped to make some pretty good decisions and having thought it out ahead of time. That's why I kind of asked you the question of, what would happen. I know that was a major concern that you discussed in our session. So, I think it's behoove you to think a little bit on that. That's why, I ask you these questions, because I want to make sure that maybe you put some thought into it. And, while we are making strides with your trust and Bobby, I just would, like I said, my concern is for you as my student and your well-being. And, Bobby, is going to be his own person. And we want to make sure that Hope is okay, and that Hope is moving in a direction that is for the positive. So, that's why I kind of ask you a little bit of, what would happen if, role play a little bit. What would happen if, Bobby went out there and told your friends about what happened, or told some people in school a little bit? How does that look for you? Like, that's why these are big questions for you.
We would definitely break up. That would happen.
Which wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be the end of the world, for sure.
I would probably, like I said, get really defensive, but at the same time, I could deny it. But then that's lying, and I'm not a liar. So.
Well, like we talked about before, when you make these big decisions in your life, you have to be prepared to live with these consequences, and that's no different here. It's no different for you. It's no different for me. It's no different for your parents. Obviously, they went through a big thing, and they had to live with the consequences of their actions. But it's one of those things that it happens. It happens. The life lesson that we can take away from these lessons. Sometimes there's only bad in some situations, and the silver lining is that things will get better, and you can learn from those mistakes, and you'll never make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
So I feel in our conversations here, we've tackled some things that, hopefully, the unprotected sex, the feelings of trust and misunderstanding, and those are big items that we've learned a little bit about, and hopefully you learned a little bit about it yourself and how you respond to it. I do think that in talking about your parents, I think that's a big step in your relationship with them, in developing a further relationship. Do you feel that them disclosing this big issue, or this big problem, or I shouldn't say problem, this big moment in their life is something that maybe breaks down some walls and makes a better relationship between you guys? If they had trust in you and now you can have trust in them, do you think that maybe that's something that it could be a silver lining here, something you could take away from the situation?
Yeah. I can relate to them more. Because I don't know, you think you can handle things when you're this age. You think, how we're always saying, I'm grown. You think that. But then when you're actually in the situation, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is kind of heavy. So now, I actually appreciate my parents even more, because now I see, wait a minute, they handled this responsibility, and here I am now, being, who I am. But, just knowing that they were at this age having to make a decision about me, and they did it. Like I said, we weren't always I didn't always have the things that other my friends had, or whatever, but I've always had a roof over my head, I've always had food, I've always been able to get around. My basic needs have always been met, because they chose to be responsible. And I don't know if I could be them. So, I appreciate them. So it did break down a wall of, I guess you could say, being more appreciative that they were able to provide for me. But I hope that they know that they should be able to still trust me, because I made the decision not to have sex until I'm married. So hopefully they'll be okay with that.
So what I'm hearing is that she did gain a little bit of respect and trust in your mom and your dad, and that you did learn a little bit about what it could be like to have a trusting and open relationship with them. And I know when we first talked about it, I brought up talking about your parents, that you weren't so excited about talking to your parents, and I know that was something we did discuss as a potential way to maybe ease this process or ease the burden of managing this process, and you were able to maybe learn a little bit of something. So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it was a good opportunity for for you to talk to your parents, and then to create a maybe even a more special bond, because it seems like they did a pretty good job. You got some, like I said before, some pretty lofty goals for yourself, and that doesn't come from out of thin air. It comes from how your parents raised you. It sounds like they put you on the right track here.
Yeah.
Did you? Was interested. We talked about maybe talking to the church and seeking out some additional counseling if you needed to. Was that something that you had the opportunity to look into, or do you think that's something that maybe you would utilize as a resource to maybe cope with decision making, or crisis, or any of the things that came out of the situation? Did you have an opportunity?
Well, yeah, I went on the website, on our church's website, and I didn't even know they had a ministry for goal setting and staying focused and things of that nature for teens. So when you first mentioned it, I thought you meant like going to the pastor directly. But after I looked on the website, I was like, oh, there are like support groups. I can just go and be around people my age who may be going through the same things that I'm going through. So yeah, I think I will look more into it. Only because it's it's for teens. I thought, like what you see on TV, like it's gonna be the little shield thing talking to what do you call it, the pastor? Yeah. So it's not like that. It's
I'm glad. Maybe I could have did a better job explaining that a little bit. But yeah, that is what I meant. That they did have some opportunity for you to seek out some guidance and sit down with some other people. And sometimes getting that heavy burden off your chest can be something that, and sharing it with other people who have maybe been in a similar situation, like you did with your parents, and maybe with a group at your church, that sometimes getting that off your chest, it lessens the burden, and makes you feel like you can breathe a little bit again.
Because I do feel better about everything. Just from talking to you, and just learning to be honest about the whole situation. I do feel better, because I know I kept saying I just feel guilty, I feel guilty, I feel guilty, but I'm starting to feel better because now I have like outlets for what I'm going through.
Good, and that's what we wanted to do here. We wanted to be able to create some options, set some goals, guide you through a pretty difficult situation. So I'm glad that we're able to help.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you coming in. I'm glad that we were able to tackle some of these issues and really be able to come to, or at least put ourselves in a better position to be successful and move forward and make better decisions as we go forward. So, like I said, if you need anything else moving forward, my door is always open. Just come on in.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks.